Hello, guys, it's Sarah. I just thought I would come give you a little update. I had really a great Thanksgiving. I felt really good. I had good energy, and I was able to do some stuff with Sean's family and then do some stuff with my family, and it was so nice. We had some good weather, so I got to take walks, and oh, it was just so wonderful seeing people that had traveled and that I haven't seen in a while. So that was awesome. Here in my bedroom right now. I just got home from going to see Reed in his band concert, and it was so fun because it was their Christmas concert. So they did like Silent Night and Jingle Bells and all these fun Christmas songs that really kind of got me in the spirit. And we went and got our Christmas tree last night because we always do a live tree. And we didn't get as far on decorating it as I would like because it got late and I was really getting tired. And it's been kind of tough today because I wish I had more energy. I have chemotherapy tomorrow. It will be round 3. So after that, I'll be halfway. Yay. But today, my energy was just really low, and it was upsetting because I like to, get things in order before I go in, because then I know I'm going to be feeling bad for the next little bit. I struggle the day before, usually the most, because my infusions are 21 days apart. And so I get the chemo, and then I feel really, really bad for about a week. And then I feel not too great for maybe 3 days. And then for the next 10, 12 days, I start feeling better and better each day. And it's great to have that break. But then the day before it's hard because I know I have to go do it all again. And anyway, sorry, I don't mean to get so emotional. I really do try to stay positive, and I am most of the time. But it gets to me the day before. Just, knowing what is to come. But, I'll be fine. I'll do it. I can do it. I can handle it. I've done it twice before, and I will do it again tomorrow. So anyways, a lot of people have been asking me what the chemo is like. I get that question a lot. They say, is it really, really bad? Are you really, really sick? What happens? So when I go in for the infusion, I get hooked up to an IV, and I'm getting 4 different medicines one at a time. So it's literally like a IV hooked up to these bags of fluids, and each one takes about an hour to drip. So I think they said it's 4.5 hours worth of IV drips total. And then there's, breaks in between, and you've got to do your blood work and visit with the doctor. So it's a whole day. It's a full day. Last time I was there for about 8 hours. And then I feel okay while it's happening. I don't notice anything. I just sit and talk with whoever's there. Sean's taken me a couple times, and my mom's taken me this time. And I bring my computer. I do a little bit of work or watch movies, or I listen to audiobooks sometimes. So that's not too bad. And then I feel okay when I get home that night, fairly normal. And then usually I'll wake up around midnight. It seems like that's when it kind of hits. And I wake up around midnight, and I just feel kind of like I've been run over by a truck. My body's kind of just in shock from it all. And I'll be real shaky, my hands will be shaking, and I'll get up to go to the bathroom, and I'm just kind of walking really slow. And I don't know, it's just, the best way I can describe it is that your body just feels shocked. And, everybody hears these horror stories about nausea and throwing up. And nausea is definitely a part of it, but they're so good these days. I started taking nausea medicine today, the day before, and I have like a specific regimen of medications that I take every day for the next 5 days to stave it off. And then I have more I can take on top of that as needed. And so it does a pretty good job. Like I don't feel good. I do feel nauseous. Off and on, but it's nowhere near like what the horror stories that you've seen in movies and that kind of thing. It does affect my taste and hunger levels. My tongue will feel like it's burnt, like when you took a drink of something that was too hot. My tongue feels like that for like 2 weeks, and my throat gets really, really sore, and I have to like gargle with this special mouthwash. And tired. I mean, just so tired. Like I sleep 12 hours a night. Like I'll sleep from like 10 p.m. to 10 a.m. or maybe even more, like 9 p.m. to 10 a.m. I said p.m. I meant a.m. And then just down all day long. I'll turn on the TV and basically just sleep through it all day long. Like I don't even hardly watch much movies because I'm out. But my biggest complaint, the thing that makes me feel the worst, is my head feels so like foggy and like I can't think straight. It's like when someone's talking to me, like my wheels are just turning so slowly. I call it like thick-headed. And then also my eyesight gets really blurry. So I can see to about 5 feet in front of me, okay. And then after that, everything's super blurry. Like just to watch television, when you turn on the guide to see what shows are available, I have to get up and walk over toward the TV and sort of squint to see it. So I feel like I'm just in this like underwater bubble or something. It's just so thick-headed, and it's so hard to focus, and it's so hard to see everything. So that's my biggest complaint. I don't like that at all, and that lasts for at least a week to 10 days. And there's other things, but those are the main thing. Food, like one day food will sound good, like I'll be like, oh yeah, some chili or soup or whatever, that sounds great, and I'll eat it and I'll be fine. And then the next day, the idea of it just, I can't even stand the thought of it. And if someone else is having it, I have to ask them to go eat in another room so I don't even smell it heating up. So my saving grace has been little yogurt, like Greek yogurt smoothies, because they have protein, they're filling, so I'm getting some nutrition, and I can just drink it with a straw, and it kind of feels good on my throat because my throat hurts so much. So those go down pretty easy. So I'm hoping that my tastes don't change to rule that out, because then I don't know what I'll eat. And then I'm fine. After the week to 10 days, my appetite comes back. I can eat normally. My sore throat starts going away. I have more energy. You never know day to day. Some days I have really great energy, but when I say great, I would say I can do 25 to 50 at the most percent in a day of what I would have done before the cancer and the treatments. So, like for example, yesterday I did an hour of shopping because I had a couple of Christmas errands. I had a doctor's appointment, and then I saw 2 clients. And we went and got a Christmas tree after the kids got home, and that was it. I was exhausted, and I think I overdid it with that. So today I've been on the couch most of the day, unfortunately. So anyway, that's my update, and I wanted to tell you another thing that struck me the other day that I was really thinking about. It was actually last time I went in for labs, because they called me in. to check my blood work because I was having some issues and they thought that my blood counts might be low. And I hate doing the labs because I have this port. Okay, if you're squeamish, look away. It's not gory or anything, but it's weird, so I'm going to show it to you. So I have this port. I don't know if you can see it in my chest here. This is literally like this little device that's about the size of a quarter, and it's about as thick as, I don't know, a slice of apple or something. Oh, that's a weird thing. That's all I could think of. But anyways, I had surgery and they implanted it under my skin, and then it's attached to like a tube, a plastic tube that goes up, and the tube goes into an artery. And that's where I get all my chemotherapy medicines because they're so harsh. They're so hard on your body that they can't do it in a vein because a vein isn't strong enough. It would just blow the vein. So they have to put it to an artery. So in order to always be able to get that artery, they put the port in. And so anytime they put my IV in, they poke a needle in that port. And they also take blood. And then that's also how I get my IV fluids. So I go to chemotherapy one day, then I go get IV fluids the next day, I go to get IV fluids the next day, then I go to IV fluids once a week, twice, that for 2 weeks until my next chemotherapy. And then I also might have to go in for labs here and there. So it ends up being a lot, and they have to poke that every time. They have to poke the needle in there. And I hate this port. Anyway, I hate it. I'll get upset talking about it because it's just like such a constant reminder, that my body doesn't look like me anymore. I already don't have my hair, and now I have this weird thing sticking out of my chest, and it's hard, it's a hard piece of plastic, and I can't even sleep on that side. And also just, it's a tender place of skin. And so when I have to go in and they poke it, it's just I just feel vulnerable. It's just not an enjoyable feeling. It's not terrible. It doesn't hurt that much. It's really just a poke, but then it's in there all day. And it's, when you move, you can feel it kind of pulling. But anyways, every time I go and I have to get poked or prodded, I think about Reed because most of you know that Reed is a type 1 diabetic, and he has been since he was 6. He's 14 now, and he's had so many IVs. He's had so many shots. He's had so many needle pricks on his fingers. He's given blood so many times. And I just say to myself, if he can do it, I can do it. And so just his strength gives me strength. And I was also thinking that everything in your life that you come up against prepares you for the next thing. So when I was in high school, I went to visit a friend of mine who'd had a car accident, and I passed out when I was in her hospital room. And I think that was the first time I'd ever visited someone in a hospital. So I became very squeamish and very scared of any kind of hospital settings. I would have almost like a panic attack when I'm there, and I would avoid it like the plague. And then I had babies. So with my first daughter, you have an IV when you're in the hospital, and you're there, you're staying in a room, and you kind of get used to it, and I had a epidural, so that's kind of a scary shot in your spine. And so, that gave me a little bit of experience, and it got me to be much less squeamish about being in hospitals. And then when I had my son, I went into premature labor, and he was actually born prematurely. And I was in and out of the hospital several times. And the final time I was in there for 9 days, hooked up to IVs, doing all this stuff. And then he was a preemie, and he was in the NICU. So I was still at the hospital, for 2 more weeks after I got out. So that was another thing that was preparing me in my life. And then a big thing was when my dad was diagnosed with lung cancer. So I took care of my dad. He lived with me for 2 years. And I took him to all his hospital visits, doctor's visits. He ended up getting admitted to the hospital several times. I had to give him medication on a schedule, and I even had to give him shots. I used to have to give him shots in his stomach. So I was basically a nurse at that point. And when Reed got diagnosed with his diabetes, I was like, emotionally and mentally, it was, of course, as a mom, that's extremely upsetting. But as far as like giving the insulin injections and checking his blood sugar, I was like, I got this. I'm basically a nurse, like if I took care of Dad, I can take care of this. And I have. And now it's my turn. And I have to go to the hospital all the time, and I have to see doctors, and I have to get poked, and I have to get prodded. But all of the things that I've done have prepared me to be strong enough to be able to do this. And like I said, I just keep telling myself if Reed can do it, I can too. So anyway, that's my update. Thank you for watching, and thank you for all your prayers and your well wishes, and you can pray for everything to go okay with me tomorrow, and I appreciate it, and I'll see you soon.